You're going to love this. Trust me, what you're seeing now is my normal state. This is a Super Saiyan. And this is what is known as a Super...
This is the hype version. Let's go.
You're going to love this. Trust me, what you're seeing now is my normal state. This is a Super Saiyan. And this is what is known as a Super Saiyan that has ascended past a Super Saiyan. You could just call this a Super Saiyan 2.
What's a useless transformation? You've changed your hair, so what?
Just wait.
Has he really found a way to surpass an ascended Saiyan? Is that possible?
He must be bluffing. I mean, what would that make him? Double ascended?
And this,
What's he doing? Is to go even further beyond! It's unreal. How is he generating that much power?
Feels like the whole world is shaking apart. What is Goku doing? If he doesn't stop this, everything is going to be destroyed.
What's going on? Goten's dad is putting out even more energy than before.
No, stop it, Goku! If you do this now, it's going to drain away all the time you have left on Earth. And I'm saving every second of it as it is.
And this is to go even further beyond!
you've been waiting for a long time, Vegeta.
Do it, Dad! Stop it! Stop it now, Goku!
Too much!
I'm sorry that took so much longer than the others. But I haven't had much occasion to practice this one. This is what I call a Super Saiyan 3. I'm ready. Show me what you got.
What's up, chat? Some of the older generations are gonna be like, what is it with these young kids all getting excited about Demon Slayer movies? They're fucking consuming slop! And I would like to remind them that the shonen slop of our time period was just, we were watching animes of Goku transforming for literally 20 minutes. I'm pretty sure that Super Saiyajin 3 transformation was like an entire episode right there, where it's just literally him just screaming the entire time. So compared to that, Demon Slayer is like fucking War and Peace or whatever. What's up, chat? How are we doing today? I should probably listen to something other than Vaporwave, because I'm listening to Vaporwave all the time. Whatever the fuck that means. I don't know what that is, but... Is there any kind of React content that you think the streamer should react to right now? Do you want me to react to something and become a React slop streamer? I'm feeling like I should be reacting to something. A lot of streamers are playing No, I'm Not a Human right now. Is nobody playing Katamari Damacy? Seeing on Twitter that there is a new Katamari game out was the first time in a long time in which I was like, oh, I should play some video games. But then I didn't because, you know, I have to be drawing all the time. I'm worried that if Katamari flops, it will be the last chance for us to ever have soul in our video games again be destroyed. Is it out already? Maybe it's not. Katamari Damacy. New. Once Upon a Katamari. Yeah, it's out. It only has 198 Steam reviews, so hopefully they didn't spend too much money on it. Speaking of good music to play while I'm drawing. Going to Cancun. I really don't want to go to Cancun, not gonna lie. I went to Hawaii for one of my cousin's weddings and it was super nice and beautiful and it made me feel like I was having a weird out-of-body experience. It just felt weird. I don't think I'm built for bright sunlight and like tropical vistas and shit like that. The only situation in which I can tolerate that is if I'm playing Final Fantasy X or something. Have you tried any exotic foods? What, like in tropical areas? I don't think so. I think the only place, warm, sunny place I've gone to is Hawaii. I don't think I tried anything particularly that exotic there. I mean, at this point you could say that fucking Japan is tropical, except less comfortable. How do the goblins look like in Dragon's Crown? I should probably draw a Dragon's Crown goblin to keep the Vanillaware art style going. I mean, Japan basically has the equivalent of tropical areas. Not only is the entire island insanely hot and uncomfortable in the first place, but it also has, you know, Okinawa and stuff if you want to go there. I've never been to Okinawa, but nor do I plan to. Talk about like a fucking crapshoot if you get like stationed in, the military, and you don't get to choose where you get to go, of course. So you might go to a base in the middle of the fucking nowhere. Or you might go to fucking tropical Okinawa. Although I don't really like the Dragon's Crown goblins. Some of them I kind of like, but they're a little too flat. I think I like them with slightly more skull shape. They're kind of flat, and I don't like how they have some hair. Their head is flat. Also, because their eyes are white, I can't really do the expressions I want. My brother-in-law got Korea, then Djibouti after LOL. Yeah. What's the worst military location to get stationed? I mean, you probably can't leave base half the time anyways, but I guess there was a pretty long period in which there was obviously the worst one was where you'd be stationed directly in the war zone, i.e. sent off to Iraq. That's the way it was for most of my, you know, youth. Is like if you joined Marines or Army, or even if you were Army Reserve, you could be like getting blown up by IEDs in Iraq. Which you definitely wanted to avoid that shit. Antarctica? I don't think there's an Antarctica US base. And if there is, they're not going to send local recruited grunt. You have to be like a scientist. I know Djibouti is considered pretty bad because it's Africa and there's just nothing there, but I don't think it's very dangerous. I mean, you probably aren't leaving base in general anywhere, anyways, because like there's not. What the fuck are you gonna be doing? Honestly, any place can be dangerous for U.S. service members because they're probably gonna go to some like fucking bar and then get in a knife fight with each other. No shit, right? People rarely respect the locals. Homeland Japan, for example. I mean, U.S.-Japan relations got really bad because all these, like, Marines stationed in Okinawa kept on raping, like, 12-year-olds or something. I can't remember how many rape cases there was. There was, like, one every, like, 5 years for about 20 years. U.S. military rape cases in Okinawa. There was a 1995 gang rape, 2016 murder, and AI says there's about like 5 more ongoing cases. $1995 was the big one that really became like a international incident. There was like a fucking 12-year-old.
Come to volley, do your best. Picnic even feels so good.
Katamari Damacy is too exciting for this. We need more low energy. Can dipshit tourists stop hanging on sakura trees and yelling in the street? No, they cannot. That's like asking children to not get excited when they're in Disneyland. Speaking of Disneyland. Tourists think that Japan is a theme park. So it's very natural for them to treat it like a theme park. Torii gates are there so they can take cool Instagram pictures as they do pull-ups. Yeah, Oblivion puts me to sleep. Morrowind probably will put me to sleep too. Pretty much all Elder Scrolls soundtrack I think will put me to sleep. Said overweight guy using their art style for money, says first time chatter. This is where we post the meme where it's like, look, it's the first time chatter who's coming into stream and trying to insult the streamer and see if he gets banned or not. Interesting strategy. Let's see if it pays off. But for the... Some people have asked, will I be streaming real time in Japan? But for the very reason that Japanese are really sick of foreigners with cameras at this point, that's probably I won't be doing it. I took a bunch of photos in one of the Japan trips, And even the act of taking photos kind of just sort of makes you look like a, you know, dumbass tourist, so I prefer just to walk around and not have to deal with that shit. Also, my goal is to not leave my room and just draw for 18 hours a day. I thought you passed as Japanese. No, I look pretty white, honestly. I look more white than Japanese. I'd say I'm about like 70% white. I usually describe myself as I kind of look like Nick Cage, except I have hair. Imagine Nick Cage, but not balding, except instead of balding, he's shaved off his head so he has an American History X haircut. And then add like 20% Japanese genes to Nick Cage. And make him more mentally deranged. That's sort of what I look at like. I thought no one else on the planet looked like Nick Cage, LOL. I didn't think I looked like Nick Cage until in elementary school. One of my Japanese friends was like, you know who you look like? You look like this Nick Cage guy. I'm like, no, I don't. And then I looked at the photo of Nick Cage and compared myself in the mirror. And I was like, shit, I kind of do look like Nick Cage. Fuck. He's got a point. God damn it. This Asian motherfucker is onto something. He's figured me out. By the way, I got recommended some sort of video essay on Hassan electrocuting his dog. So I was like, fine, I'm trying to draw right now. I may as well have this on in the background, and I watched it. And I will say within the first 5 seconds, without seeing any of like the extra evidence and compilations and like information on where the shock collar is bought and shit like that, it was pretty obvious that he was electrocuting his dog. It was just like, what else could be going on here? You should get in on the Hassan memes. I'm too late. All the good ones have already been done by someone else. I did my part as Japanese ally and ruined 5 people's Instagram photos at the Family Mart near Mount Fuji. I hear that the Japanese, like, State Department is gonna start charging gaijin more or some shit. Japan to start charging foreigner tourists Japan plans to increase various travel fees for foreign tourists to roll out expected in fiscal year 2026. Visa and departure fees. According to the report by Asahi Shimbun, the Japanese government plans to increase the international tourist tax, known as the departure tax, from the current 1,000 yen, that's $10, to align with international standards. The United States, for instance, charges 22. The revision is expected to take effect in fiscal 2026. Are you fucking kidding? They're charging like $8 right now. Fuck that, bro. They should charge entry fee and exit fee. Japan's single entry visa currently costs about 3,000 yen, far below rates charged by other major destinations such as US and EU. US is $185. Bro, Japan has to change, makes this shit expensive as fuck. Guy is a motherfucker, but if he had shocked a kid, I bet people wouldn't be as offended. Children need to learn. But dogs are, heckin' fluffy pupperinos. Also, his dog was basically doing what it was supposed to do by sitting in the corner of the screen for like 4 hours or whatever. It wasn't like it was freaking out. It was basically doing the maximum level of, you know, obedience that you can expect out of any living creature. And he was still shocking the shit out of it, so... Japan gonna keep that shit. Get passport bros and annoying ass streamers then. It needs to be expensive to the point where, you know... At least Japan is only gonna get like some kind of bourgeoisie types instead of annoying ass streamers. Like you could stop Johnny Somali from coming to your country probably if the visa fee is more expensive. I just got back from Hassan's chat saying shock the dog again, that shit was hilarious, but he didn't notice and kept crying about Zoran. Wait, is Hassan upset about Mamdani? I don't understand. I thought he would be... Isn't he like a massive leftist? I thought he would be really excited about getting like some sort of... I mean, I wouldn't call Mamdani far left, but like economically leftist something. I thought he would be waiting for that shit. As a true leftist, he can't be happy about anything. You're making a good point right there. Yes, that's true. If you're an actual leftist, you must be incredibly upset about everything all the time. That's what makes you you. Japan needs to content claim all YouTube videos featuring Japan if made by foreigners. How about we just make Japan really shitty instead? And then people won't want to come. He does basically nothing. Half his streams are him eating while reacting to a video saying nothing. Well, that's why it's important for him to have a cute dog in the corner of his stream at all times and electrocute the dog if it tries to leave the stream. He needs to keep people's attention. Syrians are already on it. I think it's primarily Turkish Kurds that people are complaining about the most right now. There was also an attempt to make like Nigeria a hometown of some city in Japan, and like there was a Japanese public person who was like half Nigerian, and he was like, no, you don't want to do that. You do not want to let the Nigerians in, stop it. I was like, uh-oh. The Nigerian knows what's up with Nigeria. Kurds are not Turkish, even we in Turkey don't want them. Yes, but if you say that, that will give them credit for saying that they're a marginalized group, and then they should be able to get refugee status in Japan. So it's better for Japan if Turkey says that you want to keep them, because then they won't be able to apply for refugee status. In general, Americans seem to be are more positive for the Kurds, because America had to rely on the Kurds to act as like a wing of the American army in Iraq and shit and like that, because they were sort of like the third force besides the Sunni and Shiite population in Iraq. And because the Iraq sectarian violence was so bad, just like having someone that wasn't like actively blowing each other up was like considered a huge bonus. But in Japan, when I saw that like someone from the Kurdish diaspora had crashed his truck, and I saw that the truck had a giant sign on it that said Kurdistan, I was like, okay. Motherfuckers are applying for refugee status in Japan, and then they're like basically publicly saying they're gonna try and take over the country by having a fucking Kurdistan sign on it. So can you send a shout out to us Brazilian fans? Come to Brazil. Where is the Brazilian Miku, guys? I'll go to Brazil if you can find me a Brazilian Miku. Kurds are a marginalized group, Bray? Yeah, they are. That doesn't necessarily mean that the Japanese want them to be in their country. Also, isn't there like a Kurdish national political party right now? Japan should, there's a lot of marginalized groups in the planet. Japan should focus on other marginalized groups that have been living in Japan before the Kurds, that have been, you know, adapting well to Japanese society, like the Nepalese. Every single Japanese Indian restaurant, and there's a shit ton of them, that you can see at like every train station is run by a Nepalese person instead of an Indian. And they're good, so... On my Japan visit, I saw how efficient the subways were, and I realized America will never have this. Yeah, well... The negative side effect is that if you're the person running the subway and you fuck up by like 1 centimeter when you're parking the train and the train is like 10 seconds delayed, you're gonna have to write a fucking report and apologize and commit Sudoku because you dishonored your family or whatever. It's not a very fun place to work, but if you're on the customer side of things, everything works very nicely because people are trying super hard to make sure everything works perfectly all the time. Americans need to learn to stop pissing everywhere and putting gum on everything first. But that's what the public transport is for, guys. I think Japan should focus on Japan. They got a lot of shit to deal with. Unfortunately, part of the shit that they have to deal with is solved by putting in a lot of foreigners. Because it's the birth rate. But that's like every country as well, as usual, so... My general approach on immigration is... Do I want to live in this country in which we're getting a lot of people from? And if the answer is no, and it usually is no in these cases, what is the total population of this group of people in which there's so many of those type of people that they start changing the location which I'm living into a version of that location in this country. And Japan still has quite a ways to go in terms of like population wise. But on the other hand, Japanese society is like so highly developed and like so clean and nice. It's held to a higher standard of, you know, not being a shithole, so you can ride a train with gum on it. America can't get our shit together enough to form the infrastructure required to coordinate and execute trains and the required infrastructure to match Japan's. I've only been in DC like twice, which is where my father lives right now, and they have a metro, and in the 2 or 3 times that I went to DC, it had like weird stoppages in which I got stranded when I was trying to get on my plane and stuff like that. I was like, fuck. It's really targeting the time when I'm here to, you know, go haywire. I don't know what you guys are doing on public transport. We have laws that you can't even eat or drink on a bus. See, in Japan, you can't eat and drink on your public transport in a bus. And people can do that without, like, spilling their Coca-Cola all over the floor. Or, you know, leaving all their garbage on the floor because they expect someone else to pick it up for them and shit. This is the difference in, I don't know, national identity. You can even get beer and stuff when you're riding your bullet train. Here. I have to go piss. Watch this. back from pissing. Ugh. I wish I could drink alcohol. Not as much as this guy is. Ugh. How many has he had? He's been like 7. Everybody leaving the train because they're all going to Mount Fuji. I have 0 alcohol tolerance. That's my Japanese DNA right there. How long was his travel? He's going from Tokyo to past, I don't know, probably like 4 or 5 hours. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Asking for more, see? You can order more. Apparently this guy is still alive. Strong Zero is delicious as fuck. I've been told that Strong Zero is actually even worse than other forms of alcohol because it's full of all this kind of like artificial sweeteners, so you're fucking up your organs from both like the route of like forcing them to digest the alcohol and all this like weird sugar supplement stuff. I had a highball once. I thought it tasted awful. It just seemed really bad if you ask me. But yeah, I wish I had the power to get like blackout drunk and stuff. My alcohol tolerance is so low that I go directly from like kind of buzzed, and if I take a few more sips of the beer, I already have like a hangover. I can get a headache from drinking like half a can of beer. It's kind of insane. So I've basically given up on drinking altogether. I just have no alcohol tolerance. Also, drinking is mainly a social thing, so if you have no social life, there's no real reason to drink unless you're trying to, like, forget all your deep troubles, all the horrible embarrassments you've suffered. I'm so American, I cannot imagine living in Japan entirely because I love guns too much. What's the point of owning all these guns when you're not allowed to use them to murder people? Every gun owner spends every day like hoping that somebody will invade his house so they'll have a legal reason to shoot the person. You don't need to own guns if you're in Japan, unless you're one of these licensed hunters, because they definitely need those people because there's so many fucking bears right now. But besides bear hunting, you don't really need to own guns in Japan. Hey Green Rider, thanks for the sub. I appreciate the support. 28 months, that's quite a while. Yeah, you can get a gun license in Japan. You just won't be allowed to have your, you know, your stupid 800 rifle collection that Americans love so much. You won't be able to own a pink Hello Kitty themed AR-15 with a dildo attached to it. You actually have to have a registered rifle license and be like in communication with the hunting group or whatever that you need to be part of. How many of you have shot guns before? I had a friend when I was working as a lifeguard in the YMCA who was a part of the National Guard, which of course made him a gun owner, because, you know, of course. But we went shooting together. So I've shot guns once. He had a Glock pistol, a CZ75 pistol, you know, the gunsmith cat's gun. I don't think he was a gunsmith cat's gun, but he had that. It's considered to be a very nice weapon. And he had an AR-15. I think that was it. Yeah, he had 3 weapons. I was really surprised at how heavy the triggers were, honestly. I can't believe babies somehow, like, crawl into their father's gun cabinet, unlock the gun, and, like, successfully shoot themselves in the head. But they keep on doing it. It felt like you needed to apply like 10 pounds of pressure just to pull the trigger, but somehow babies pull this off. I don't know why. Not all triggers are equal. Yeah, the Glock had a much weaker trigger than the CZ75. Actually, what I found most interesting was that the pistols were the hardest to shoot, both in terms of like how much pounds of pressure I had to put on the trigger, and also like the recoil and it bouncing around and shit. And then the AR-15 was much easier to shoot, I guess just because you had the stock and stuff. You don't really think about it that way if all you're doing is just playing Call of Duty, but the Glock being a, what do you call it, resin build, made it really feel incredibly light and sort of bounce around in a weird way. That wasn't the case for the CZ75 with its steel frame. But yeah, the AR-15 was definitely the easiest to shoot and keep on target. Glock is a gay Minecraft gun, prove me wrong. The good thing about Glock is you don't have to clean it very often, right? So if you're a lazy motherfucker like me, get a Beretta if you have any sense of taste in class. You know the Beretta that like literally every action movie has that looks like this? I forgot what it was called. But it has the muzzle sticking out just a little bit. You know what I'm talking about, right? The M9, yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and say I don't fucking like it. I don't like that gun. I'm purely talking from my video game choices, but I never liked it. I guess a lot of people think it's the coolest looking shit ever because it's like the hero's gun in like half the movies and half the video games that you ever play, but I never enjoyed it that much. That's right, I said it. What about the 5.7? Is that the, wait, I have to actually look every single one of these up because I can't remember which one they are. Oh yeah, I like the 5.7 in Resident Evil, the Resident Evil 4, 5, 7. It's called the Punisher. I like the cream brown versions of the 5, 7. It looks nice and professional. Holy shit, that's a lot of tier 1 subs. Thanks for the gifted subs, Luminous. I appreciate the support. I think the Blacktail, or what was it? What's the Blacktail? It's the HK. Which HK pistol is it? Is it the USP? Or is it like the something 5 or something? I like some of the shorter length barrel Heckler and Koch pistols if I'm going by just general appearance. I don't think I have a particular preference for which Heckler and Koch I like the most, but I like some of their shorter ones, the compact ones. Do not tuck your guns on you into your crotch area. But how can I be a gangster if I don't put my Glock in my sweatpants and ride a bike around town? Also, I must hold my gun sideways. We call this street cred. You white boys wouldn't understand. But out here in the hood, it's very important that we not properly aim down the sights. It's a unicorn gun for very specific cases, not applicable to anyone besides security, and that makes it a unicorn. Is there any circumstances... So, do P90s actually have like 60-shot magazines? Can someone explain that to me? I only know this shit by playing Modern Warfare. And why do no other guns use this? Actually, I already know why no other guns use that, because you don't actually need a 60-shot magazine or something. Is it 50? Whatever it is, they have a shit ton of bullets. They have like the bullets sideways, don't they? I don't even understand. P90s are weird-ass weapons. The P90 has been like the submachine gun of the future for my entire life. It's been like the Ghost in the Shell gun forever. We're in the future, and yet we haven't had a more futuristic gun than the P90 still. Can we just go back to revolvers? I mean, they haven't left. Why go back to revolvers when you can go back to rock? Gruck no need firearm. Gruck throw stone. Gruck maim you with heavy throwing stone and then hit you with stick. You die. Pretty sure Deus Ex had P90 and was like ass weapon. I feel like in video games you have to balance the P90 in weird ways, because if it was good then and had like a realistic number of bullets the way the magazine is, if you're gonna give it like this 50 round magazine or whatever, then it will end up being overpowered if you don't nerf some of its other aspects. Although the P90 in most of the Call of Duty games is usually pretty good. almost always. There's gun enthusiasts and gun nuts. Gun enthusiasts appreciate design and comfort. Gun nuts are preppers who prefer attachment slots and magazine size. What if I just want to LARP that I'm part of the US Army even though I failed basic training? What caliber is P90? Wasn't it like a relatively low millimeter or something? I can't remember. You earned a hype chest. Open to see your reward. Hey guys, I got Chill Girl. Oh, that's so awesome. Choo choo. Thank God you had basic training. I didn't get to basic training. I was planning to drop out of the Navy if I couldn't pass basic training and it was too stressful to me. But they refused my application based on health issues in the first place, so... I worked at a state park once and the park ranger there admitted he barely passed his pistol exam. Well, does he really need a pistol exam? I mean, what do you even do as a park ranger? I feel like your primary job as a park ranger is probably like saving some drunk ass who thought it would be a fun idea to mess with the bears or something. Poor Ball couldn't even get into the Gachi Navy. It was probably better that way. This was during the recession, so I was just desperate for a job, any kind of job. But I probably dodged the bullet. I was trying to join the Navy because if I was on an aircraft carrier, I wouldn't have to get deployed in Iraq, you know. I was trying to avoid having some kind of fucking stupid-ass George W. deployment. Which is, of course, not very fun. I mean, having a pistol license probably isn't going to help you against bears either. I often make fun of people who are like, huh, what kind of gun you have? Oh, a 22? That caliber isn't gonna stop me. I'm like, bullshit. People even say that with like 9mm. They're like, huh, think you can stop me with a 9mm? It's like, yeah, you probably are gonna die if you get shot with a 9mm, dude. What do you fucking think a gun is? But if you want to actually shoot a bear, you probably cannot, you know, stop a bear with a 9mm, so... I swear there's so many guys who are like, eh, you're gonna need a higher caliber pistol if you want to take me down. It's like, yeah, I don't know about that, pretty dude. People really have to justify the fact that they carry around like some kind of .45 caliber. Yujiro be like, we're not allowed to talk about the time in which Itagaki had to think of a way in which Yujiro to transport Yujiro to a certain location. So he had a bunch of trained hunters shoot him with tranquilizer darts. Yujiro has to be like the ultimate, you know, strongest man on the planet. So he gets to make all of his own decisions. But then, if you do it that way, then you can't have Yujiro participate in anything unless you convince him to participate in it. So then Itagaki has to think of, like, bullshit scenarios in which Yujiro can get taken out by a bunch of hunters with tranquilizer darts, so, you know, whatever. In certain cases, you're more likely to die to a 22, since if it goes into your skull, it's likely to bounce around and ricochet in there. I just finished watching Casino, and Joe Pesci in that, he runs up to a woman, and he like holds her head with like one hand like this, and then puts a 22 and like shoots her in the head like 5 times, and then she just sort of bleeds out of her mouth. And I was like, that's a really bad idea to put your hand there if you're shooting her in the head. What if it goes through? But then in the next scene, they were calling him the 22 caliber piss killer, and I was like, oh, I get it. He doesn't have to worry about the bullets, you know, going through the skull because it's the 22. It's probably also a lot more quiet than some of the higher calibers. In real life, you would have to worry. To be fair, Joe Pesci in Casino is making a lot of poor decisions. So, holding his hand on the other side of an exit wound with 22 caliber bullets possibly going through a woman's skull is probably the least of the poor decisions he makes in that movie. Anyone see the Reze movie? Sorry, but I'm not a cuck. I only watch Chad movies like Demon Slayer, Infinite Castle. Watch Dorohedoro? I didn't even know there was a Dorohedoro movie or anime or whatever. In general, I don't watch anime. I used to have a rule that I only watch anime if it's like an original script made for anime, but then they stopped making that shit almost altogether. What's the most recent anime that was like popular that wasn't based on a popular IP? I guess Panty and Stocking Season 2. Is that about it? I know this is hard to understand, but back in my day, we got a shit ton of original animations. Enough that I could actually have a policy like I'm only going to watch anime if it's like an original IP. And then that all stopped, of course. I still can't believe they got a season 2. Never give up hope, guys. We got Devil May Cry 5. And we got Panty and Stocking Season 2. And Gaben will release Half-Life 3 very soon. We just need to wait a little bit more, guys. Any day now. Half-Life 3 is on the way, trust me. I saw your manga a lot, thank you. It is around on the internet. I'm trying my best. There's too much slop being produced by the slot machine of manga light novels. I feel like writing your own script would result in a much higher success rate than just whatever, you know, isekai slop that they're adapting, but maybe it's not. Can you talk a bit about hentai paneling? Hentai paneling is difficult, right? As a hentai consumer myself, I like to think of the way I think about hentai is like, I need to have like one panel, which is the primary panel that I'm gonna look at when I'm gonna be jacking off, right? So this is the one in which you can see like the entirety of the female body or something like that. And then I would have like one or two more panels to show like how the plot is going. But I would always want to put at least like one panel in which this is like the panel that I'm going to look at when I'm going to try and come on like every page in which the sex scene is going. I feel like that's the best strategy. And this is sort of the same strategy you can use for just like normal manga paneling, I feel. I feel the way to think about paneling is that for every page spread, you have one idea, and for every page, you have one idea. So you have big panel that is a result of the cliffhanger from the previous page. And then you have a cliffhanger being set up to make you turn the page. So you're like, huh? Nandato? To get people to turn the page. And then when you get to the next page, you know, you have Robert Downey Jr.'s head being cut off or something. And then you're like, no! And then you have another cycle of stuff and you have another cliffhanger. But as just general strategy, this panel is going to be big. And you don't want to have like a massive panel over here, because if like you have a super eye-catching thing over here, the gravity of this page is going to drag people's eyes away from reading it in this direction. So if I have like, you know, a normal conversation here, and then I can have Iron Man's head exploding over here, people will be like, wait, what the fuck is going over here? And they won't read all the text bubbles over here because they'll be too distracted by Tony being murdered, you know? Can you make the worst possible manga page breaking all the rules? You can, but it will just be unreadable. It won't even just be like bad, it will just be unreadable. It's not as interesting as you might think. That's like saying, can you have a video game that breaks all the rules? Instead of it being like an exciting, weird mess that still somehow is entertaining, it'll just be unplayable and won't actually like be interesting. It just won't work, so it'll be too full of bugs. Having big shots that have no panels are good too, yeah. However, I'm getting tired of a lot of manga just being like, look, I used my 2-panel spread. Can't you see how important the thing happening is because it's a 2-panel spread? This is what you're doing when you double it up. your readers are supposed to be like, wow, the fact that he said come must be super important. A lot of small manga creators tend to publish online. Do they still design for 2-page readers? Probably not, but they should be. For example, a good example of this, of people just like abusing the 2-panel spread, is this Shonen Jump weekly manga that is going to get canceled very, very soon, or is just going to end very soon. I've been following it because this was the first manga in a while in which I'm like, this is definitely going to get cut very, very soon. And it lasted 16 weeks because next week is the last page. Here we go. An entire manga about running. Sort of a 2-page spread, although they have multiple panels. 2-page spread of this guy yelling with this background, 1-point perspective background that was probably drawn by assistants. And then another 2-page spread in which the guy is collapsing. Nobody gave a fuck about this manga. And he has difficulty drawing proportions. The head is too big here. Even if it had better artwork, the neck is more than 90 degrees here. Even if it had better artwork, it probably would have been canceled, because how the fuck are you going to make an exciting game about exciting manga about long distance running? Literally all you do is run fast and then you go to the next person and then they run fast. But it didn't even make it that far. How do you write about running? The answer is you don't. You get your series canceled. Why was this in Shonen Jump? Seems very meh to me. Here's something that you gaijin don't understand. Shonen Jump keeps its powers by constantly giving new chances to young authors. So what happens is they let in like new authors constantly, and then they end the series constantly. So there's just a real circulation. They have a huge churn of new talent coming in and leaving. And some of the people make it and a lot of them don't. And that's just how it works. It's better than, for example, some of the other weekly magazines in which they don't give a lot of chances to new authors, and they keep Detective Conan going for like 10 million episodes. And Takashi Rumiko still is writing for Shonen Sunday in 2025 instead of letting her take a fucking break. And as a result, the magazine as a whole is just kind of like, it's just the regular authors doing the same thing they've been doing for the last 40 years. Is there any manga about motorcycles? The guy who wrote Initial D had a manga about motorcycles before he did a manga about cars. Interesting enough, it has the same problem with women that Initial D has, in that for some reason that author really likes extremely toxic, weird, airheaded women who are just like, I'm so fucking stupid, oh my god, the only thing I'm looking for in a man is a man who has a motorcycle because I'm a fucking airhead. I don't know, something about that guy's fetish. He also had another manga about cars that was such a bore. If we're gonna be entirely honest, Initial D isn't that interesting either. That was definitely a manga that benefited a ton by having music in the anime, right? Having the Euro beat makes a huge difference. Sounds like a regular woman to me. This is fiction. We're supposed to have desirable women. Excuse me, it's not Bakuon, it's just Bakuon. If your manga about cute girls doing male hobbies doesn't have 4 letters and then an exclamation point at the end, then you failed. So K-E-O-N exclamation point. De ka chi chi exclamation point. In the end, Initial D was not a manga about cars, it was a teen drama with cars. No, it was a manga about cars pretending to be a teen drama with cars, but ultimately was just a manga about cars. Because anybody who read Initial D was just reading it because they were like, oh man, I sure love Supras. If you ask anybody about Initial D, no one's gonna be like, oh man, I couldn't stop reading Initial D because I was worried about what would happen to the love story between Takumi and stupid airhead bitch number 5. If you ask anybody about Initial D, they'll be like, yeah, I play Eurobeat when I'm driving my Honda Civic and I drive 30 miles per hour faster above the speed limit. It's fucking awesome. People just want to go zoom zoom. I have a Ford Focus, but yeah, maybe I can do. You can still drive 10 miles over the speed limit no matter what your car is in a school zone. You have to use your multi-wheel drift in the school zone to hit the maximum number of children. AE86 for real, for real. Reminder that FR could be both for real or forward drive, or no, it would be FR. Wait. wait, what am I thinking? I used to translate this shit all the time. So in Japan they use FR to indicate front engine rear drive, right? Did they even say that in English? In Japan it's like RR, FR. Man, it's been a while since I've played any of my Gran Turismo shit. FR cars versus RR cars. FR is front engine rear wheel drive. RR is rear engine rear wheel drive. I think AE86 is rear wheel drive. Yeah, both of them are rear wheel drive. The F and the R indicate the engine position. So if you're driving a Honda Civic, it's FF, right? Front engine, front wheel drive. Among the, if I Google it, it all shows up in English, so I guess if you're a car head, if you're a gear head, you actually use this terminology. I swear to God, cars are like 10 times more complicated and wonky than guns, but car nuts don't spend all their time going into other people's spaces and being like, actually, sir, I just like to have you know that that year Toyota was not putting that model into production. So that's actually not the AE86, that's an AE86Z. It's a different type of vehicle. I never see them go, actually, sir, I don't think you understand how suspensions work. Why the fuck is it that, like, the gun nerds are always doing that all the time? Is it really, like, some penis envy thing? Why are gun nerds the most obnoxious? And, actually, out of all the nerds, I don't understand. There are those kinds of guys, actually? Yeah, but I don't ever encounter them on the internet. Like, I'm not gonna draw a car on the internet and have someone show up in my stream and be like, sir, I've noticed that you got the front bumper configuration of that BMW wrong. Whereas that will 100% happen if you draw a gun. I've never seen a car nerd be like, oh, look at that fantasy car. Have you noticed that the speed racer vehicle is not realistic? Where is it engined, sir? How can the speed racer, the Mach 5, how can it go underwater? Nobody talks about that shit. They have their own spaces. I'm fine if they do it in their own spaces. I'm complaining about how gun nuts come out of their own spaces to complain about that in normal people's spaces. It's so prominent you actually like have Republican politicians where like some Democrat will be like, we should have more strict gun laws, and then a Republican politician would be like, does this Democrat even know that the AR and AR-15 doesn't stand for assault rifle? How can this person understand that having everybody being allowed to own an assault rifle is bad if they don't even know what the AR stands for? Yes? That's like an actual fucking conversation that happens in America on a daily basis. I still repost your anti-K gun with the double bipods. The double bipods are an extremely important part of that gun's tactical use. How can you keep it stable when you're firing from the hip if you don't have multiple bipods? Every bipod you add to your gun, it increases the stability. I should have found a way to add a third bipod for maximum accuracy. The gun law restrictions are dumb though. They make it illegal to have a certain number of attachment points on an AR. Too many scopes equals death machine. What if I want to attach a bayonet, a underbarrel grenade launcher, a scope, a silencer? See, you can't trick me. I played Modern Warfare. I know that you need the special perk, what was it called? What was the special perk that you needed if you wanted 2 attachments in Modern Warfare 2? I actually can't remember. But it was a special thing. It was a big deal. You only got 1 attachment normally. We can't give people too many attachments. It'll make them too powerful. 720 no scope, that's right. You should just be spinning around. Why aim when you can be spinning around in circles? I think I'm gonna actually add this gray to the rest of the skirt. Does she have face tattooed or is that just makeup? I don't know, it's a female thing, don't ask them. Necromancer is just doing necromancer things, you know. Actually, no, I'm gonna use a different shade of gray. Yes. Of course, people on Twitter crewing the girl failure version of Gaijin Fujoshi. We've come full circle. Actually, we've been full circle for a while now, but now when men see ugly, flat woman, they're like, "Whoa, she's my waifu. I claim her. Look how flat and ugly she is. I can fix her. She's so attainable." I want to make a manga about a prize fighter who turns gay so he can pummel his opponents with his massive yaoi hands. To be fair, you don't actually have to be gay to get your yaoi hands. There's lots of straight men in shoujo manga who also have huge hands as well. I can fix her, she can ruin me. Your imaginary version of a girl failure is much more endearing than the actual girl failure. I watch Caleb Hammer, so I know. If you want to see real life versions of girl failures and how bad they are, You only need to see these women who have spent like 5 months worth of their paychecks on Labubus, and they're like, hee hee hee. I just needed to, you know, buy my Labubu. Hee hee, I'm so cute. And you're like, she's like fucking 35. And it's just like, that's not cute, you stupid motherfucker. There is way more easy to date whores than girls that like the same stuff as you. Also, I don't really need for my significant other to share in my hobby. My hobby is alone time. I'd rather her hobby be something that is supplemental to our general lifestyle instead of it being something worthless like playing video games. If her hobby is collecting Labubus, then I'm not getting within 10 feet of her. Here's a list of terms that if a woman utters them, I will never ever speak to them again. Number 1. Number 1. Unironic girl math. If this bitch ever is like, tee-hee, I didn't pay my month's rent because I don't know girl math, I'll be like, holy fucking shit, get this stupid fucking motherfucker away from me. You disgust me. Blind boxes are just gambling marketed to women. Us gamers have had blind boxes for a long time. We called it gacha or loot crates. But once again, the market has figured out that it's easier to scam women. Because, again, girl math. Labubas are primarily bought by adult women? Yes. I didn't understand Labubas until I figured out that they were limited items and you had to gamble on them to get the rare Labubus, and then it all made sense. There's been a lot of stupid dolls that women have wasted money on. But Labubas are special because you can't get the one you actually want, which makes them more desirable. I've been wondering where the demand is coming from. I thought it was mostly one of those speculation scams like NFTs. It's both. It's a combination of women's ability to convince themselves they want to buy stupid shit because it's cute, combined with humans' natural gambling impulses, combined with also the speculation market, because a lot of these people are thinking that they'll be able to resell their Labubas for more money in the future. Oh, speaking of speculation market, I think it's time in which we have to talk about CSGO. And how my purple knife that was worth $10 million has suddenly become worth nothing overnight. How can this be, Gaben? Why have you forsaken me? All of my net worth has vanished overnight, guys. That shit's sad? No, it's not sad. The people that were actually counting on maintaining the value CSGO items to maintain their value permanently are sad. That's what's sad. Ever trusting a video game company to never change the internal, like, metrics of what makes your whatever JPEG item worth whatever it is. That's fucking sad. And if you want to sell all of your shit, you have to, like, what? Do you have to sell your entire account or not? I never was really able to figure that out. Because Valve technically bans that shit, right? You can't just sell it in a Valve marketplace, but people obviously can cash out if they want to cash out. Now people can turn 100 common knives into a rare one. Oh my god! I have a rare knife! Oh, it's so amazing! Oh, thank god! Oh, this is so cool! Well, people were saying that this unironically hurts Russia's war effort because now Moscow youths that have invested their life savings in Gaben's Skinner box are jumping out of windows, but then people pointed out that a lot of those people are also Ukrainians, so it's just, it's probably hitting both sides. I knew a guy in high school who put all of his allowance into those knives. Even back then I thought it was stupid as fuck. But what if he actually cashed out? He might be a millionaire right now, and you missed out on having these amazing knives. I don't know. What's dumb is that Valve clearly wasn't encouraging this. They had multiple systems in place so that it wouldn't be like a weird, huge black market shit. And yet people were hanging on to this stuff as if it was some kind of secure asset, despite it, you know, being the opposite of it, because the company that has control over the asset didn't want it to be in that format. And yet people weren't seeing the signs, so they really have only themselves to blame. It's pretty fucking stupid. My Ukraine. I know Ukrainian artists who have bombs going off who still draw tits and play video games and care less than some of my left friends. I'm invested in Ukraine again because we recently got like a super promising sumo wrestler in Japan come out who's from Ukraine, and he's like one of the fastest rising sumo wrestlers in history right now. He was able to escape his country, and now he gets to make money being fat in Japan. Aonishiki, very good Rikishi. He has excellent body control. This is him against the actual Yokozuna right here. What you gonna do, white boy, when Takeshi comes and whips your ass? Got him, not going out, got him! Oh! Got the fucking leg right there. Finally, a Japanese patriot can defeat the Mongol menace. Oh wait, he's Ukrainian. Look at these women who are dripping wet at seeing these fat men slam into each other. He's exciting because he uses all these interesting... Oh, they're not going to show the replay. Uses these interesting moves that other sumo wrestlers don't use. See, he's about to go out, and then he catches the leg right here. See, he hooks the right leg of the Yokozuna, and then uses the leverage to flip him. Very impressive. You know he's not going home alone today. Actually, he is going home alone because he's probably still living in the Heya. So he's doing communal living with all the other sumo wrestlers. So it's pretty hard for them to have sex. I think they can live in their own apartments after they reach a certain ranking inside the sumo ranks. But most of them still live in the communal living situation. I find pusher thruster comical to watch. How is that an accepted technique? Looks so silly. Nothing silly about a man who weighs like 350 pounds slamming his body into you and pushing you out of a ring. He will be in Ozeki soon so he can have his own apartment. You can get your apartment way before you hit Ozeki. I think it's like just the... if you get to the Makunouchi ranks, I think that's already enough. They break their own fingers with those slaps. Yeah, but having broken fingers isn't that big a deal compared to some of the other horrible shit that can happen to your joints. My defense against you shouldn't be slapping this guy because you're going to break your finger is like, yeah, but think about all the other horrible shit that can happen to your body when you're doing sumo. If you're worried about broken fingers, then you should quit while you're ahead. Rikishi get hurt all the time. By the end of a career, every Rikishi has like 5 bolts in their knees and like a hydraulic leg brace to just stand around and walk. The previous Yokozuna Terunofuji had like so much metal parts on him. Just an absolutely massive fucking leg brace going on. Quitting? Where's the sumo spirit in that? Well, most people don't quit. That's the thing. I would, though. Fuck that. There's a reason why there's fewer Japanese people competing in sumo, and the people who are competing are from basically third world countries like Mongolia and Ukraine and stuff like that. Because if you're in your right mind, you don't want to deal with that shit. Is there any drawing book or tutorials we recommend, please? Go on eHentai and look up Griza Norm Tuesday Tips. That's what I've been using. These are Disney animators that made about like 100 images on Tumblr. And you can't buy their book, but I think it's out of print. But luckily someone raised all the tutorials on eHentai. This is what I'm using. Do they drown in pussy at the end? Kind of. There was one Rikishi called what was it? Raiden? Was it Raiden? No, Ryuden. Raiden is Metal Gear Solid. Who they caught him having an affair with one of his fans or something. And, you know, that was not good media attention, but he was still competing after that, so I guess he wasn't really punished for it very much. Yeah, Ryuden got caught cheating on his wife, that's right. And he was relatively handsome, right? I can't remember what he looked like. So... I guess he's kind of Ikemen? I don't know. Ikemen by sumo standards. Hey, what's up? His wife still loves him, apparently. I don't know, man. In general, if you're a woman, I would try and avoid these people that their main income comes from violence. Just looking at the number of issues we have in NFL players versus NBA players, at least when it comes to like domestic abuse. I feel like when you're trained to commit violent acts, it's a much higher probability of you doing bad shit. Ikemen in sumo and Tomizaru and Enho, yeah. I mean, the all-time Ikemen is, I don't know, who would be? I mean, it's probably Takanohana, right? Or Waka Nohana. He was super popular. Or Taiho. Chiono Fuji also. Showa era was just built different. Yo, he's skinny as fuck in this photo right here. Chiono Fuji, of course, the go-to wrestler whenever you're like, when people are like, no, they're not jacked, it's like, no, they were super jacked. Super giga jacked body type. So apparently the reason why his arms were super jacked was because he had an issue where they would pop out of its sockets. He had a dislocation issue. And they're like, you might have to quit sumo. And he was like, fuck. And it's like, well, how are we going to stop my arms from dislocating? It's like, I know, I'll just gain a shit ton of arm muscle so that the bones will be like packed in place by the muscle around it. So he got his arms super jacked, and it worked. And I personally have leg kneecap dislocation issues when I was playing basketball, so I was like, wow, you can actually do that? He dislocated his shoulders often because his preferred throw was an outside. When I see them go for the throws and like they're using their arms in weird leverage locations, I'm always worried that they're just gonna like snap in half. Sumo is probably the most unhealthy sport you can do, period. Because like you're combining all the issues that come from martial arts with like all the health issues that come from being obese. So it's really, really bad for you. If you go by like the average lifespan, sumo wrestlers are the athletes with the shortest lifespan. You just have guys who just like straight up die in their 50s. It's like on par or even worse than professional wrestlers with all their steroid abuse. Fat Strong is the scariest. It's the tank build. All you can do is run away. If it's a human and you're skinny and you can run quickly, you can run away from the fat strong. But unfortunately, bears are also fat strong, and they can run like 40 miles per hour, so you're basically fucked. You're absolutely donezo. See ya, bros. To be honest, I don't even want to get to 50. Better start smoking then. You have to use a regimen of anabolic steroids, alcoholism, and cigarettes. Then you can guarantee you won't get to 50. Fuji died in his 60s. He used to smoke a lot and overtrain. Again, Showa era people were just built different. I watch a lot of YouTube channels by wrestlers, and they talk about the type of habits that sumo wrestlers had. And they would talk about how, like, after the basho was over, they'd go out drinking, and like certain wrestlers would just like drink entire like full bottles of sake and like eat, you know, 6 kilos of beef and stuff like that. I'm like, holy fuck, they really are speed running. Think about those centenarians that show on news, and when they ask how they live so long, they say, I don't know, I smoke crack and I drink Dr. Pepper. Those people just have like superior genetics. That's all. You can get by if you have the right genes, but on average you're probably going to die faster. Average lifespan doesn't really mean anything, right? It matters whether how long you live, but I really don't know what to do with my blacks and my whites in this page. Maybe gray hat. I mean, I did give it a gray hat somewhat. I don't know. The balance between gray, black, and white is the thing I often end up spending the most, like, not being able to understand what to do in every single page. It doesn't help that I, like, think up new clothing combos every single time I draw them. What I think I need to do is I need to just, like, add more detail, and that sort of serves as gray. There's two types of gray. There's gray in which you add actual gray, and there's gray that registers as gray by having more detail. And you need to have a certain amount of detail, but not too much. Ah, 6:49. All right, I have to go. See you around, guys. I'm gonna go jog. It's getting dark. I have to go now. Have a nice night, boys. See you around.